From the palace balcony stands King Dasharath, ruler of Ayodhya, respected, powerful, and victorious in many battles. Yet tonight, his heart is heavy, for the throne he commands has no heir to inherit it. Guided by the sacred sage Rishyashringa, King Dasharath sat before the blazing ritual fire. With unwavering faith, they performed the holy Putra Kameshthi Yagya, praying to the gods for the blessing of a child. As the sacred chants rose and the flames leapt skyward, Lord Agni himself emerged from the fire. Pleased by the king's devotion, the radiant deity appeared, holding a divine pot filled with sacred kheer. With grace and compassion, Lord Agni offered the pot to King Dasharath. Accepting it with reverence, the king knew his prayers had been answered, and hope returned to his weary heart. With reverence, King Dasharath shared the divine kheer with his three queens, noble Kausalya, gentle Sumitra, and beloved Kaikeyi, each receiving the sacred blessing with hopeful hearts. As the queens partook of the divine kheer, destiny stirred within them. In time, the queens were blessed with motherhood, and Ayodhya soon rejoiced at the birth of 4 divine princes. In time, the palace of Ayodhya was filled with joy as 4 princes were born to King Dasharath. Prince Bharat was born to Queen Kaikeyi, and Queen Sumitra was blessed with the twins Lakshman and Shatrughna. Prince Ram, born to Queen Kausalya, the eldest among them all, gentle in heart, noble in virtue, and destined for greatness. The royal priest, Shri Vashishtha, blessed the 4 princes with sacred prayers and divine wisdom. And as his hand rested upon Prince Ram, the blessings of the sage flowed forth, guiding the future of all the sons of Ayodhya. As the years passed, the young princes had grown into spirited kids. It was now time for them to leave the comforts of the palace and journey to Rishi Vashishtha's Gurukul, where wisdom, discipline, and valor would guide them on the path to greatness. Guided by Sage Vashishtha, the 4 young princes set out toward the Gurukul, their journey winding through quiet forests filled with nature's wisdom. Soon, they reached the sacred ashram, the first step in their life of learning and discipline. Under the watchful eyes of Guru Vashishtha, the princes trained tirelessly, strengthening their bodies through wrestling, mastering archery, and honing the skills of combat. Alongside physical strength, their minds and souls were shaped as the princes meditated with Sage Vashishtha, learning discipline, humility, and inner balance. Time flowed silently at the Gurukul, and the young boys grew into capable young men, their knowledge and character forged through years of devotion and learning. With their education complete, the princes set forth from the Gurukul, returning to Ayodhya, prepared to face destiny with wisdom, courage, and righteousness. Ayodhya rejoiced as the 4 princes returned home. King Dasharath, the queens, and the people welcomed them with joy, pride, and hearts filled with celebration. One day, sage Vishwamitra strode into King Dasharath's court, his voice firm and his anger righteous, born from the suffering of the people. Demons were desecrating sacred yagnas and spreading terror across the land. With unwavering authority, the sage demanded that Princes Ram and Lakshman be sent with him to destroy the evil and restore dharma. Guided by Guru Vashishtha, King Dasharath chose dharma over personal fear and accepted Sage Vishwamitra's request. At the palace gates, Ram and Lakshman took their father's blessings and set forth on their sacred journey. The journey lasted for many exhausting days, pushing the young princes to their limits. Through changing landscapes and weary nights, they marched onward until they reached the vast and ominous Dandak Aranya or Dandak forest. There, Sage Vishwamitra spoke of the terror that haunted these lands, the demoness Tartaka, and the demons Subahu and Marich, who defiled sacred yagyas and spread fear among the people. In the depths of the dark Dandak forest, Ram and Lakshman faced the terrifying demoness Tartaka, whose ferocity shook the trees and sky alike. Ram's heart wavered, troubled that she was still a woman. But Sage Vishwamitra's commanding words of dharma and duty steeled his resolve. With unwavering focus and righteous fury, Ram drew his bow and released a blazing arrow that struck true, felling Tartaka and restoring a fragile peace to the forest. Over the following days, Guru Vishwamitra taught Ram and Lakshman the secrets of divine weapons, honing their skill and wisdom. Along the way, the brothers freed the forest from dark omens and menacing demons, bringing safety and balance to the land. At last, they reached Vishwamitra's ashram, where the sage and other rishis had prepared a sacred yajna. Standing vigilant, Ram and Lakshman guarded the sacred fire, ready to protect the ritual at any cost. The sky turned blood red, and rain of blood and skeletons poured down, signaling the demons' imminent attack. A terrifying horde of demons, led by Subahu and Marich, readied themselves to strike the ashram. Ram and Lakshman leapt into battle, their arrows flashing like lightning, slaying demon after demon with unmatched skill. Ram unleashed a divine arrow that conjured a swirling tornado, hurling Marich far away to Lanka. With precision and focus, Ram struck Subahu with another divine arrow, and he fell lifeless to the ground. As the dust settled and the last demon was defeated, the sacred yajna, fire ritual, was completed, and Sage Vishwamitra blessed the princes for their courage and valor. Few days later, a royal messenger arrived from Mithila, inviting Ram and Lakshman to Princess Sita's Swayamwar, hosted by her father, King Janak. Guided by Sage Vishwamitra, the two princes journeyed onward and finally reached the splendid city of Mithila. King Janak received the sage with a humble bow, honoring his wisdom and the presence of the young princes. While strolling through the palace gardens, Ram glimpsed Sita for the first time, and her grace and beauty left him spellbound. The grand court of King Janak, filled with kings and princes from many lands, all gathered for Sita Swayamwar, as the divine Shivdhanush rested upon a sacred pedestal. One by one, mighty rulers stepped forward, yet none could even lift the celestial bow. Then the demon king Ravan entered the court, his presence heavy with power and pride. Boasting of his strength and glory, Ravan proclaimed himself worthy of the divine bow. He placed his hands upon the Shiv Dhanush and strained with all his might, but the bow did not move an inch. The court erupted in murmurs, and even Sita and the onlookers could not hide their gentle laughter at Ravan's failure. Burning with shame and rage, Ravan stormed out of the court, his arrogance shattered. At that moment, Sage Vishwamitra silently signaled Ram to step forward. Ram approached the Shiv Dhanush with humility, bowing to it in reverence before touching it. With effortless grace, Ram lifted the massive bow in one hand, leaving King Janak, the courtiers, and Sita awestruck. As Ram nocked an arrow and drew the bowstring, the divine Shiv Dhanush cracked thunderously and broke in two, stunning all who witnessed this moment of destiny fulfilled. In a sacred and symbolic ceremony, Ram and Sita were united in holy matrimony, their union blessed by the gods and destined by dharma. Lakshman and Urmila were joined in marriage, their bond reflecting devotion, loyalty, and harmony. Hearing that his son was victorious in the Swayamwar and to attend the wedding, King Dasharath entered Mithila in a grand and joyous procession with his queens, as the people welcomed him with music, smiles, and showers of fragrant flower petals. The celebration was suddenly halted by the arrival of the fierce Rishi, sage Parshuram, whose anger burned over the breaking of the divine Shiv Dhanush. Ram stood calmly and humbly before the Rishi, explaining with folded hands that he had never intended to break the sacred bow. As Ram nocked an arrow upon his bow, Parshuram beheld his divine radiance and realized that Ram was no ordinary human. Overwhelmed with reverence, the sage fell to his knees, understanding that Ram was, in truth, an avatar of Lord Vishnu. With Parshuram's wrath dissolved, the royal procession resumed peacefully, now moving forward under Ram's quiet leadership. Under the watchful guidance of King Janak and King Dasharath, the palace came alive with grand wedding preparations and sacred rituals. In a moment of divine celebration, 4 couples, Ram and Sita, Lakshman and Urmila, Bharat and Mandavi, and Shatrughna and Shutakirti were united in holy matrimony. Before departing, the newlyweds bowed to receive blessings from King Janak and Queen Sunaina, their hearts filled with gratitude and devotion. Led by the chariot of Ram and Sita, the joyous wedding procession departed Mithila towards Ayodhya, as the people cheered and showered blessings upon the royal families. The Ramayana is a vast and timeless epic, filled with countless chapters of dharma, devotion, and destiny. Here, we pause our journey for now. We will return soon with the next chapters and continue this divine story until the Ramayana is told in its entirety. Jai Shri Ram.